afternoon breakout sessions. My name is Angel Starks, and I am a board member of the Greater Omaha Young Professionals. By now, you know the drill, but it is my job to remind you. Don't forget to complete the evaluation of this session on the mobile app. It is your opportunity to shape future summits. Also, we just want to be mindful of your cell phones or whatever you may have, if you can put them on vibrate. We want you to use Twitter, we want you to put it on Facebook, but we also want to be respectful of our awesome speaker. The leadership sessions held in this room, 213, are sponsored by Midland University's Masters in Business Administration program. If you're interested in getting your MBA, Midland University is extending a $10,000 scholarship to a summit attendee for their MBA program. Please go to the website on the screen or scan the QR code on the sign outside of this room for more information. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce Monique Cannon from Gun and Cannon Empowerment Group. Monique will teach you how to be a player that leaders seek. Let's welcome Monique to the stage.
I know it's after lunch, but I'm going to need you to have some energy in this session. That's why the music was playing. So if you didn't get up and dance, I'm going to need you to do something, okay? All right, so again, my name is Monique Cannon. For those of you who've seen the programs, you see that it's spelled a little funky. I get that, but you'll have to take that up with my mom. If you have any problems with it, it is just pronounced simply Monique. The name, as far as the Gun and Cannon Empowerment Group, my maiden name is Gun, last name is Gun, and my married name is Cannon. So I'm just a pretty powerful girl. So I just wanted to let you guys know that and get those logistical items out of the way so you're not staring at the name and trying to figure that out. And did she misspell it? Did they misspell it? No, they got it right. I got it right because my mom got it right. All right. So today we're going to talk about branding. We're going to talk about winning. Every single thing that we do in life is all about this journey. It's all about the passion and the purpose that Tonette talks about this morning. So if you were involved in the leadership track this morning, hopefully you have some nuggets to really start to pursue that passion and that purpose that you have. So I'm not going to talk about that, but I'm going to take it to the next level and really say, okay, what does that mean? Once I figure it all out, how do I take it to the level where I'm differentiating my brand? How do I develop a winning brand that people really want to buy? So when you think about branding, a lot of people say, what is this personal and professional branding thing that everyone's talking about these days? Well, it's really quite simple. If you think about food or you think about sports, there's a lot of branding going on in there. So I'm going to talk about food because I love food, if you can't tell. And secondly, because, my kids, they're typically like, Mom, can you cook? Well, I don't cook. So we go out a lot. And unfortunately, we do go to these places as well, and I know they're not the best places. So we're trying to work on that. But secondly, we're going to talk about sports because I feel like my life is revolving around sports right now because my kids run track and they also play basketball. But there are a lot of lessons that we can learn from just the idea of what it really takes to win a game. And that's what the focus is today. So when you look up here and you're looking at these two sandwiches, on the left, where is that sandwich from? McDonald's. Where's the one on the right from? Burger King. But how do you know that? They're both burgers. How do you know that?
Special sauce.
Special sauce. Exactly. Special sauce. Exactly. What else? What else tells you the difference between these burgers? Buns. The buns. There's a middle one. What else? The meat. The meat. You have the flame broils. Someone said about the tomatoes and the onions, there's little ones on one, there's big ones on the other. Well, here's the key. When you're establishing your brand, you have to have something that differentiates your brand. If I were to tell you the opposite, if I were to tell you the Big Mac was from Burger King, you're going to say, absolutely not, Monique, you're crazy. And maybe I am. But the key is to figure out how do you make people in the world know that you're different from everyone that graduated in that same year that you graduated, from everyone who works in your company, everyone who works in your department, everyone with your title. If you're a mom, if you're a dad, your brother, your sister, so what? That doesn't define who you are. So the characteristics of what you really push out there into the world is exactly what your brand is. And Matt talked about it this morning, or Mike, talked about it this morning, and he said, you know what? His brand wasn't what he really wanted it to be. So he decided to write on his wall what it was that he really wanted to see in himself, but not only that, what he wanted other people to see in him. And that is the key. So every time these people put these burgers out here or whatever, and they're all competitors, they know that they're still going to have a winning product. And I need you to know that as well. When you look to your left, you look to your right, and you start comparing yourselves to people, and you say, but I don't have that education. I don't have that same experience. So what? You don't need it. You just need to get out here in the marketplace. You need to put a product out there, which is yourself and your brand, and you need to work it. That is what you need to do. So if you learn to rock it, other people are going to buy into it. You have to believe it first. So it goes back to that purpose and that passion each and every time, the self-identity piece. And so we're going to talk about that. I know that's a silly example, but I hope that it illustrates the point in such a way that you will actually be able to catch on to it, okay? How many of you, when you go shopping, you buy the same toilet tissue? Do you buy the same toilet tissue? Or do you buy different ones? Raise your hand if you buy the same toilet tissue every single time. Yeah, how about toothpaste?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, brand loyalty, right? We have brand loyalty to our tooth. Those are the essentials in life. We need to use them every single day. And so Northern is not like Charmin. Charmin is not like, Angel Soft. And if you buy generic, well, it's like no other. So, that house, something about that toilet tissue and the toothpaste. So, it's, again, a silly example, but think about the loyalty pieces that are there. And you want to make sure that your employer is that loyal to you. You want to make sure the community is that loyal to you. So when they think about something, they need a project done, or they need someone to run an errand, to go and network with someone, they think about you. We have these 30-minute sessions out here, or breaks between each session. The question is, are you utilizing your time? Are you building your brand? Are you out here networking to create new opportunities for yourself? If you're not, I encourage you to do that after the session. So there's just a few points to really talk about when we're talking about building a winning brand. And one is you have to know your brand. If you don't like it, change it. You have the ability to do so. However, it is important that you know exactly what people see in you. Your reality of your brand doesn't necessarily mean that's the reality of the rest of the world looking at you. So you need to ask people, what do you think that I'm all about? What is my brand all about? Who am I? And if you say, well, I really don't know who I am though, Monique, I'm still trying to figure that out. Well, I encourage you to take self-assessments. Take some things like Strength Finders, Emergenetics. You're at your employer's workplaces, there's personal development programs or professional development programs. Get involved. That's how you're going to figure out who you are as an individual, okay? So that's really the first point, is knowing that brand, knowing exactly what you bring to the table every single time. When you submit that resume, you're saying, this is my brand. This is what I'm going to bring to each and every one of you each and every day. So when you hand that resume in or you submit that application, it's a representative sample of exactly what you can bring to the table. And if I'm a manager, which I used to be a senior HR manager, and I'm hiring people, I made sure that I looked at that and I said, I have a void to fill. Who can fill that void? So when you're writing that up, you sell yourself. I understand that we don't think of ourselves as brands all the time, but you really are. Someone's buying the product that you have with your business, and someone is buying you as an individual. They're paying you for your services as an individual at your workplaces. So make sure that you know exactly what it is that they see and what they need. So learning to play the game. How do you learn how to play a game? Right, you try it. Who teaches you typically? If you were on the basketball court, who's going to teach you how to play the game?
Coach.
A coach. You need a coach. You need a mentor. You need someone who is going to hold your hand every step of the way, who's going to encourage you for those days that fear and doubt, they're just in your ears, they're whispering, they're just knocking you down. You need someone that you can call and say, I need a pick-me-up. I'm having a really bad day. I can be honest with you. I can tell you exactly how I feel, and you're not going to judge me. That is what we need you to do, is to get a coach in order to be successful, but also a mentor. But here's the difference between a mentor and an advocate. You need both. You need the mentor that you can call, you can be honest with, you can just let it all out with them. But then you need an advocate. And a lot of people don't necessarily know that these individuals exist, but what they are the individuals that are in the room when you're not. They're the ones that are selling your brand to someone. They're the ones who are fighting to say, no, that definitely is a Big Mac from McDonald's, because I know the characteristics of that. That's what you want them to do. You want them to go to bat for you. So every single time that promotion is sitting there on the table, or there's a team leader who needs someone else, they're going to come to you. They're going to promote you. They're going to elevate you to the next level. They're going to give you that lateral move, promotion, which, let me tell you, those are some of the best decisions that I've ever made is the lateral move, because it set me up for success. I was able to leave corporate America at the end of last year, and many people say, how in the world did you do that? Well, number one, I have a great husband and great kids who allow me to pursue my passion, which is speaking to people just like this. My passion is to connect individuals with exactly what it is that they're passionate about and help them find a voice and to uplift them. That's my purpose and my passion in life. And so I'm able to do it because of that. But not only that, I'm able to do it because of the experiences that I've had. And sometimes it wasn't a promotion. Sometimes it was, well, can you do the special project? And sometimes it was me asking, can I do the special project? You have to take some initiative in this game as well. It's not going to just fall into your lap. Passion and purpose is not enough. You have to work hard. You have to be willing to take the next steps. You have to be willing to go to those uncomfortable places. Get out of your comfort zone and watch the magic happen. That's what I encourage you to do. So when you get that coach, you tell them everything you know about the sport, but you also tell them everything you want to learn about the sport. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to tell them, I want to be, the NBA, or I want to be in the WNBA, or whatever it is. Don't think your goals are too big. Sometimes we stifle our own creativity and we stifle our own growth because we feel that everyone else is going to be like, oh my gosh, really? And they are, some people are, but there's going to be a lot of people who say, oh my gosh, I'm watching your journey and I just absolutely love it. And that's the thing that I have experienced as an entrepreneur. The hardest post for me to push out on Facebook, Twitter, whatever you say, putting my website out, all of those things were so difficult for me because I'm the brand of my company. And if people don't like what I bring to the table, then oh my gosh. And it's like no one wants to be attacked. No one wants to be talked about. I'm no different than you. I love to get on stage. I love to speak to people, but I'm no different than you. I still have feelings. I still have emotions, and I have to acknowledge that they're there. So when I was pushing that post button, I was like, oh my gosh, what in the world am I doing? Am I doing the right thing? Oh no, what are people gonna say? I'm gonna get this flood of hate mail or something. Like, I made all that stuff up in my head. None of that happened. I pushed the button and people were like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited for you. Like, how did you do it? And the biggest question is, how did you leave a job that paid you so much money at a reputable company in such a high-level position to do this, to take a big risk? And I said, how could I not? That's my answer. I refuse to sit and not be happy, as the song says. I refuse to sit and allow my talents to rot. I know that I have big talents and I have big dreams to go along with those. But it's up to me to get out there, take the risk, go into that unknown territory and figure it out. I don't know everything about business, but I know that there's a ton of you in this room who can help me. And I'm going to get to know every single person who can help me out. And I'm going to take you along that journey with me, and I'm going to help build you up in the process. That's what learning how to play the game is all about. It's figuring out who you can put on your sides, who you can take with you, who you can walk with. Because it's not about us. It's so much bigger than us. It's about everyone else that's around us. That's when purpose comes into place. Next, we have to embrace the spectators and the scouts. So we've talked about what it really takes to win. We talked about building this brand. But if no one buys your product or no one comes to see you play, it's all for naught. So now you have to figure out who are those people that are watching me? The people in the stands that are coming to support me. Who are the scouts that want me to play on their team? That's who you need to be concerned with. Those are the people who can tell you what they're looking for. Ask them when you figure out who they are. And sometimes they're going to be on the sidelines and you're never going to know who they are. That's why you bring your A game every single time. Every single time. Because here's what I know. What I tell my kids every time they hit that track is that you may not be the fastest person on the track today, but everyone else may not show up either. So you do your best. You run your fastest race. And you know that you're winning because you've done your best. Your best may not be the fastest time. Your best may not be first place. You may come in 8th place. That doesn't matter to me. What matters to me is, did you do your best? And did you show those spectators and those scouts exactly what you're made of? Because sometimes losing teaches you a lot more than winning. That's how you begin to win. You practice. You challenge yourself to do a little bit more. But also, you have to make sure you're working out. You have to make sure you're going to practice. You have to make sure you're listening to your coach. Because it doesn't do any good for you to have a coach that's holding you accountable if you're not willing to put in all of the work. You have to put in 100% of the work. They can tell you everything they know, and you can have all of the raw talent in the world. But if you don't work, it's not going to do anything. It's not going to matter. So I ask you, what are you guys doing today to really get in the game? Like, give me some things that you're doing. What are you doing today to accomplish that big goal that you have? Because we have to take this small steps at a time. So give me some things. What are you doing today? Networking. Developing a plan. What was that?
We're here.
Taking notes. You're here. That's right. Exactly. This is a start, right? What
Identifying
else?
potential resources or partnerships.
Resources and partnerships. And you used the word intentional, I believe. Did you use?
I said identifying.
Oh, identifying. Okay. Well, here's the thing that I know is that if you're intentional about what you're doing, every meeting you go into, you should have an intention. Every time you're networking, you should have an intention. Networking is not about passing cards. Networking is not about how many people you know. Networking is about making a connection. Networking is about getting to the sole reason for what you and that person, it's a reciprocal relationship. That's the thing. It sounds really harsh, but the bottom line of this whole thing is that you and that other person have to have something to connect with. And generally, it's I have something to offer you, you have something to offer me, and in that moment, we have something to connect with. Even if it's just inspiration and motivation, even if it's just a phone call, someone that you can call all the time. It doesn't really mean that they have to be doing something extraordinary, because those little things that you don't think are extraordinary equal something that's very extraordinary. So take the ordinary acts of every single day, and that's going to build up to being what you really, really need out of a person. So what are some of the challenges that you have? Why are you not exactly where you want to be today? Finances. What else?
Unclear goals. Unclear goals.
Unclear goals.
Confidence.
Confidence. You need confidence. Fear. Fear is false. You know that, right? Doesn't really exist. We make it up.
Family obligations.
Family obligations. What else? We're young professionals. We're all in this together. We need to be sharing with each other so that we know we're not alone. We can go to someone else and say, I'm having these concerns. I want to be a better person. I want to think bigger. I want to do better, but I don't know how. What else?
Don't know who to trust.
Change. Don't know who to trust. So here's the thing that I would say to all of those. If you have unclear goals, you need to get a coach. You need to ask someone to help you to clarify those goals. Continue to ask questions. And I'm going to have you do a little exercise really quick. I want you to write down 3 things that make up your brand. Everyone got a notebook this morning, or you should have brought a notebook or something. So just jot down 3 things that make up your brand. Remember, that's your total package. It's what you bring to the table. You're no longer whatever your title is either. You're no longer a mom, a dad. You're no longer the HR manager. You're no longer the IT developer. None of that matters in this exercise. Not a daughter, not a son, not a cousin. You have no titles. Who are you? Everyone have 3? Was that easy for you to do? Pretty easy? Some people are probably like, heck no, I don't even have one. And if you don't have one, or you're sitting there struggling, you need to ask people that are sitting to the left and right of you if they came with you and say, who am I? They'll be able to tell you. Tell me what I do. A lot of people always say, money can talk so much. And I would say, you know what? One day that mouth is going to make me a ton of money. That's why I'm here. So, you never know what your talents are going to bring. So they'll tell you. You may not want to hear it. You may be like, really? Shoot, I'm talking about it. But I already know that. So, all right. So tell me a couple things that you wrote down. Who are you?
Passion.
Your leadership. Okay, so tell me more about that. We got to get deeper. Because when we say we have unclear goals, a lot of times it's because we don't go deeper. We have to take that to the next level. So why are you the leader? Or why are you a leader? Because leaders are good and bad. So if you tell me that you are a leader, and there's someone that's sitting on the side of the room and they say, I have hated all of my leaders. Anyone who says they're a leader, I can't stand it. So good or bad is the first question. Good or bad leader?
Both.
Both, okay. So for the negative side of things, what are you doing to try to control that to get that all to the positive side of things?
I talked to my mentor about part of it. I got a mentor.
I love that you have a mentor. Exactly, that's one of the steps. Yes. On the right track, on the right track. So when you talk about being a leader, what are some of the things that leaders do that you like? What are the characteristics?
Pass on knowledge.
Okay, knowledge. Anything else?
Pass on, some of it can be friendships, some of it can be mentorship.
Friendships. So we're talking about relationships. We're talking about knowledge. This whole conference is about empowerment. And the only way that you will feel empowered is if you have knowledge, which is competence, and if you have confidence, which someone said, I lack confidence. But the only way you build confidence up is to keep trying things and flopping, falling on your face and saying, oh my gosh, I'm never gonna do that again. I know better now. So that's the way you start building it up. And people will start seeing you and then will be like, oh my gosh, that person just keeps getting back up. Like, what gets you back up every single day? You know, people always ask me, how did you get out? I'm like, out of what? They're like, your circumstances. I'm like, what were my circumstances? Well, you didn't have a dad. He was in prison. I was like, oh, I had a dad. He was in prison. I wouldn't be here without that. So the bottom line is, he's part of my DNA. And I appreciate it because he allows me to be creative. He passed away a couple years ago. And I did get to meet him in my, in these adult days or whatever, which is all good. But I don't have any grudges. Like, he did what he does. He lived his life, and that's what he chose to do. That's not what I chose to do. I lost a brother to drugs, murdered in the streets of St. Louis. Okay, that was his choice. Like, yeah, it hurts. But the bottom line is I said to myself, I knew that the same talents that they had, I have. They chose to use them for bad. I choose to use them for good. That's the difference. So it's not about getting out. My mom was supportive. My mom said, I don't really know what you're going to do to go to college. Oh my gosh, you're getting a master's degree? Whoa, I don't really know what to do with that, but I'm supporting you. And so she was there. She didn't really have much to say all the time, but she was there. And so I appreciated that. And she said, well, I'm going to find you some people that are going to be able to help you out. Okay, that's exactly what I need. I need people around. Can you guys still hear me? Just kind of getting some feedback. So ultimately, you need to take who it is that you are. So give me a couple more things that you feel are part of your brand. Experience, connector, creative,
Passion.
passion,
Determination.
determination,
Authenticity.
drive,
Authenticity.
authenticity, huge for me, huge, huge, huge. Goes back to knowing your brand, knowing who you are. You can't be authentic if you don't know who you are. And you also can't be all things to all people. And you also can't be anything to anyone unless you're whole. So if you're not authentic, all those other things that were said, you won't feel that. You won't be able to connect with what's in your heart. You know, the little whisper that tells you, like, you should do this, like, you should do that. Because that's your gut telling you, that's your purpose. We run from that little whisper because it's not really loud. But I can tell you, as you get closer to it, it becomes really, really loud and apparent of what you're supposed to do. And that's the space I get to live in every single day. I get to live in the space where I pinch myself and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is my life. I love my life. And then I get to meet people who are saying, I'm just holding on to this job. Well, how long are you holding on for? Oh, about 10 years. No, you don't hold on for 10 years. You hold on for 10 months, max. You hold on for 10 days, maybe 10 hours, but you don't hold on for 10 years. So I'm gonna need to help you get somewhere else because that's not the place you need to be. And so if that's what you feel every day, is this is really not the place for me, you need to open yourself up to some more possibilities. Sometimes you have to be a little vulnerable. It sucks. Because you're opening yourself up. You're saying, I'm here, everyone, just do whatever. And you're like, oh my gosh, what are they gonna do to me? And earlier we talked about trust. That was one of the things that were thrown out. You don't know who to trust. So making yourself vulnerable at this age when we're trying to build careers and we're trying to do it all right, and we're trying to do it the way someone told us to do it, but here's the problem with that. The way they did it may not be the way that it's going to be most authentic for you. If it's not organic for you and you feel like you're forcing it, stop. Start over. Try again. Go to a different company. I'm not telling you quit your job. but work your way into it, okay? Figure out how can you spend 4 hours a day doing what you love. Do something, start a company, do whatever it is that you do, because that's different for each and every one of us. Define what success is for you. Success for me is not the same success for you. You can say, well, but what I want to do is really simple. Yeah, we need simple people. Everyone doesn't have to be crazy leaving their jobs like me. Like, that's craziness. I get it. But I have some really big goals that I have to get to, so I had to do it. It's a risk. I get it. But that's what I needed to do. So all of these words that you heard, I want you guys to really think about those when you're, in doing your reflection at the end of the day, which you should all do reflection at the end of the day. Make sure that you're thinking about what the speaker said. Make sure that you're thinking about what those thought-provoking moments were today. What the aha moments were. What were the light bulbs that went off for you? Why are you energized? Why are you excited? What got you to that space? Because that's what's going to help you win this game. You can't win if you don't have any energy. So make sure you're doing that. Practicing. Things like this is practice. When you're meeting new people, when you're jotting down things about your brand, this is all practicing. This is enhancing things for you. It's building up your brand, but it's also taking you to a level where you're able to kind of unplug a little bit. So athletes have to practice each and every day to be the best athlete. They have to study their craft. They have to know exactly what the competition is doing. When we look at the Super Bowl, they're always talking about how much video they had to watch and all of these different things. They know the plays of the other team. Do you know the plays of your competition? Do you know what they're doing? Are they reading certain books? If so, read them. Are they watching certain videos? There's no reason with all the technology that we have today for us to be ignorant. There's no reason for us not to be able to do something. Just like Mike said, he didn't know how to start a nonprofit, so he went and Googled how to start a nonprofit. Yep, whenever I don't know what to do in business, I'm like, Google, Wikipedia, somebody help me. And every single time I get started. And then I go emailing people that I don't know, and maybe they respond back, or maybe they don't. But I don't let that discourage me. I just keep it moving. And I say, I don't know everything. I admit that. But I need somebody else to do this, and I need somebody else to do that. And so if they're going to go out and they're going to do that for me and help me, I have to allow them to do that. Because before, I was trying to do it all by myself. I didn't want to ask for help. And that's a huge thing. So as you're saying, I don't know what to do. I have these fears, I have this. Talk to someone who's traveled that road, or talk to someone who's traveling it with you now, so they can share their experiences. You troubleshoot through this thing. You brainstorm through this. You just work through it to the point where you kind of get tired of working through it. But ultimately, you'll arrive at a winning score. Taking risk. We've talked about taking risks. We're talking about how that can be tough sometimes. Taking that leap of faith and saying, I have no idea what's on the other side of this, but I'm ultimately going to get there. It's tough. I won't lie to you and say that it's not, but what I will say is it's worth it. If you've ever gone to school or you've ever done anything different, when you start out on that first day at that new job, you feel like a new student all over again. You're sitting there like, oh my gosh, what did I get myself into? I should have just stayed where I was. I know I didn't really like it, but I should have just stayed there. If I stayed there, I knew how much money I made, I knew all the people's names, and you just let this rhetoric go on in your head. Why? Just say, you know what? I was there. I learned those new faces, I learned that new stuff, and now I'm going to learn something new. And I'm continuing to build my brand. Every single job that you do is helping to build your brand. Those are transferable skills that you can take from place A to place B. You don't just use them at work, you use them at home, you use them in the community. If you serve on boards, you're out there doing whatever it is that you do on these boards, you're out there doing, whatever it is on the steering committee. All of these things, they're because of the experiences that you have. So don't let someone tell you didn't have a dad in the home, your mama was broke, you broke, all this stuff. Oh, who cares? I won't be forever. I'm going to change up the way you see me. I'm going to change the statistics. You have the power to do that, even as one person. The question is, are you willing to put in the time and the energy to do so? The last point is commit to getting in the game. And I'm going to there's some people that have some sticky notes. I'm going to have them pass those sticky notes around. So hopefully everyone gets a sticky note by the end, and we'll do a little something with it. I'll tell you about that in a minute. So when I talk about committing to getting in the game, it's actually quite interesting. I told you that my kids run track. My nephew also runs track. He made it to the nationals. And he was in the 8 and under category. And you know, when you go to nationals, we went to nationals, it was in Detroit, and everyone kept saying, there's no way that this little short boy, he's really, really short, for 8, is going to either win. I mean, there's no way he's going to win. Why is he even trying to compete from Omaha, Nebraska? That's what everyone kept saying. We want to see this little kid from Omaha, Nebraska. Yeah, well, here he is. Here he is. But we told our kids, my kids made it in long jump, and I told them, you just go jump as far as you can. Have fun. Enjoy the experience. And they did. In a stadium that they didn't know, in front of all these people that they didn't know, they went out there and they jumped and they didn't scratch. And I was like, that's a win for me. They only ended up being like 30 or something, 30th place or 40th place, but that was a win for me. That was worth the money, that was worth the trip, because they did it. Under pressure, they did it. And we can learn a lot from our children. We can learn a lot from kids, because kids are very innocent. You ever ask kids, like, draw something? Everyone wants to get up and draw. If I had an easel up here and I said, who wants to come up here and draw something for me? You're all going to be like, don't. Kids are like, yeah, me. And when you don't call them, they get upset, right? But the key there is to go back to that place before fear and doubt, because they don't have it. My nephew went onto the stage and, we told him a couple of things. We said, look, he was going in the 100, 200, and 400. Kind of landed in about the 10th to 14th place in the 400. But in the 1 and 200, he actually became an All-American from Omaha, Nebraska. Everyone counted him out, but us. And we said, you do whatever you have to do to get out there and win, including if you have to go to the bathroom and you've been in the pen too long and you get out there and you gotta go, you just go. I can't go on myself. I mean, he's 8, right? So he has a reputation to him. And I said, you do whatever you have to do to win. He got out there.